Hello, sports fans. It's me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke, and I'm here with my special guest star, Kris Dufour. Many years
Back
of
again.
yes, many years of not only Stratomatic experience, but the man has a storehouse of baseball knowledge right up there. And
I don't know about that.
today we are going to talk about the Hall of Fame and one particular player who Kris has researched and believes should be in the Hall of Fame and has been, what's the word?
Ignored?
Ignored. Okay.
Anyway, listen, let's not beat around the bush. Clearly, I'm a Red Sox fan, so I'm a little bit biased. But I want to talk to you about Dwight Michael Evans. You know, I just feel like he's on the modern era ballot with a bunch of 80 stars. You know, Garvey, Whitaker, Mattingly, Munson, Murphy. I mean, there's I think, who else is on there?
I have no idea.
You don't even have a clue. All right. Well, Dave Parker's on there, Ted Simmons. I mean, there's a bunch. But, and I was reading something where, I think it was Jay Jaffe was saying that there's a 0.5 chance of any of these guys getting elected. You need 12 out of 16 votes for the committee, for the Modern Era Committee, when they vote on December 8th. And it just made me so upset. I was like, come on, you got to be kidding me. It's not even 1% chance that these guys are going to get on. Because everyone on the committee, I think, only gets, you don't vote for you can't vote for 10 guys. You only get 4 votes, I think. So imagine 12 guys putting the same 4 people on their voting list. So it's a ridiculous chance to get in. Well, you know, although another committee voted a couple people in last year, so who knows. I'm not here to compare Dwight Evans to anybody that's in the Hall of Fame. I'm not even here to compare him to people that aren't in the Hall of Fame. Other people on the list. I just wanted to talk about, Dwight Evans. I was reading something when they announced a ballot and people were, talking about Dwight Evans and, how he should be in the Hall of Fame or shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. And some people are writing like Dwight Evans was a pedestrian hitter. And I'm like, man, there is nothing about Dwight Evans. There was nothing about Dwight Evans that was pedestrian. This guy was good at a lot of aspects of baseball, very good, and I think should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, this is great. He had a 272 batting average lifetime, which is, that's pedestrian. I'm not going to lie, that's not a great batting average, but that's one aspect of a man's career, a 272 batting average. Did you know, when I was a kid, they used to say things about, I love the Hall of Fame since I was, 5 years old. I've always loved it. Bob and I visited it so many times together, and our other friends too always come with us. But what I love about it is, the different criteria seems to shift and move and evolve, really. But one of the things that always stuck me was, you needed to have longevity, which Dwight Evans did. He played 20 years in the major leagues. But you also needed to have a period of dominance, a lengthy period of dominance. Well, guess what? Dwight Evans has both. He was in the major leagues for 20 years. He was dominant in the 1980s. From 1980 through 1989, there was not a single player in Major League Baseball that hit more home runs than Dwight Evans or, oh gosh, I forgot the stat already. I'm going to have to look it up. I can't believe it. More RBI, sorry. I thought it was RBI, but... so no one in the 80s, from 80 through 89, had more home runs or more RBIs than Dwight Evans. It's amazing that we call this guy pedestrian to me, or some people have the mindset that he is.
Yeah, he definitely was not pedestrian.
You're right.
No way.
So let's just move past that. I don't want to get stuck on that word. Maybe 3 guys used it, but clearly I think he's a Hall of Famer, and let me tell you why. I just did part of it. He was dominant in the 80s. He ended up with 385 home runs and over 1,300 RBIs. He had 1,379 walks in his career. He had a lifetime 370 on base percentage. Lifetime 370 on base percentage. For that time period, that's ridiculous. It's amazing as a right fielder power hitter that he had a 370 on base. The Red Sox batted him leadoff in the 1986 season, if you don't remember. He hit the very first pitch of the 1986 season off Jack Morris for a home run. I mean...
Impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, it's incredible what he did. But listen, this is what really kind of transforms the whole conversation to me is we're just talking about his batting numbers, right? I mean, let's talk about Dwight Evans' intangibles, or not even intangibles, right?
He was an incredible right fielder.
The man won 8 Gold Gloves.
Yeah.
8 Gold Gloves. So let's say his hitting,
throwing arm too.
Well, yeah, he had 8 Gold Gloves. He led the league in assists twice, and then people stopped running on him. I mean, you're not going to listen. Dwight Evans was as close to the perfect right fielder for Fenway Park as you're ever going to see. I mean, and nothing demonstrates that more than his great catch in the '75 World Series on Morgan in the 11th inning, right? I mean, that was incredible. Saved the Red Sox World Series right there.
Right,
gave Fisk the chance to hit that home run, the iconic home run. And he doubled the guy off first base, by the way, on that play. Mm-hmm. Listen, Dwight Evans won 8 Gold Gloves. 5 were in the 1980s. He in 2 World Series has a 977 OPS, right? There was not a, to me, in the 80s especially, there was not a more clutch hitter than Dwight Evans for the Red Sox. I mean, Jim Rice was fantastic. He also played with the Red Sox from 80 through 89. But I remember Dwight Evans, especially in the late 80s. I mean, there was one time, in I think it was 88 season, where the Red Sox kind of came out of nowhere, Morgan Magic, and won the pennant. Mm-hmm. And Dwight Evans hit like 2 consecutive or 2 out of 3 games, bottom of the 9th home runs at Fenway off Greg Olson, who was a fantastic closer for the Orioles. Remember back then?
Right, yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. But in the 86 World Series, I mean, he hit a home run in Game 2 off Gooden that sparked the big win. They put us up 2-0, put the Red Sox up 2-0. And then, if you remember correctly, he homered in Game 6. And then in Game 7, when the Red Sox went down 6-3, when the Mets rallied, it was Dwight Evans who had a 2-run double to make it 6-5 in the 8th inning before Strawberry put the nail in the coffin. The man was just, I mean, those are just a few examples. In Game 4 of the 1975 World Series, nobody ever remembers this, but he had in the top of the 9th, might have been Game 3, he had a 2-out solo home run to tie the game and send the game in extra innings. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's Dwight Evans. I mean, It's just ridiculous that we're talking about him as a borderline candidate to me. I mean, this guy was a classic, all-time great. 8, and if you think, oh, okay, maybe the offensive numbers weren't quite enough to put him in the World Series, or into the Hall of Fame, excuse me, then let's talk about his 8 Gold Gloves. Let's put the whole package together. The intangibles of the greatness in the postseason, the 8 Gold Gloves, the defense, the throwing arm. You can't look in the last 50 years and say Dwight Evans doesn't have a top 5 throwing arm from right field. You can't leave him out of that conversation. Right. He had a better. Let's just compare. Last thing we'll do is his career OPS plus. Well, let's just look at WAR and JAWS. If you're a modern day analyst, right? You know, I'm okay with it. WAR and JAWS and the newfangled stats are fine. I don't buy. They're not the whole thing to me, but if they are to you, did you know there's 16 of the top 16 all-time right fielders? There's only 2 guys with a better WAR than Dwight Evans who aren't in the Hall of Fame. One is Shoeless Joe, who's not eligible. It's another story. And one is Larry Walker, who's currently on the regular Hall of Fame ballot still and picking up steam to get in. And the last one of those 3 is Dwight Evans. All right, 67.1 WAR over his career. And every other right fielder with a WAR in that above Dwight Evans is in the Hall of Fame. And then there's Dwight Evans, and all of a sudden he's not. And then also, if you want to do JAWS, same thing. I mean, there's a few others, but I mean, Dwight Evans is right up there. He's at the top of the list. And, listen, I just think this guy is getting overlooked. I mean, and we can talk about why, but I'm just here to talk about why he's a Hall of Famer. And listen, of all the people on the modern era ballot, there's 10 of them. Man, I think for you and me both, we love them all.
Yeah, we do.
I
Yeah.
mean, you can't look at Garvey and say he wasn't a great player, or
Right.
Munson wasn't a great player, or
Simmons.
Parker or Simmons. They were all great in their own
Yeah.
way, and they were right in our era, so we have a special fondness for them all.
Right. I mean,
But-
we'd like to see them all get in.
Yeah, that would be fun to see all 10 of them get in. But listen, I just want to make a point. I think Dwight Evans is a Hall of Famer with no holes barred. I mean, I just think this is a mistake to let him out. And obviously, I'm a little biased. I'm wearing my Trot Nixon Red Sox jersey here. So I love Red Sox right fielders, and I have for a long time. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on Dwight Michael Evans Dewey. Hall of Famer, December 8th, Hall of Fame Modern Era Voting Committee. Do the right thing, please.
Right.
That's all I got.
And how do you feel about the initial voting process? How people are limited to how many people that they can put on their list. They can't just put every guy that they think should be in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, we could talk about that forever, right? I mean, we'd have to do 7 videos before I
Yeah.
stop talking about the voting for the Hall of Fame, and I don't think I'd be done then.
Right.
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on the Baseball Hall of Fame. Trust me, and I've done a lot of research on it, and I'm invested in it. But I've never been a voter. Don't get me wrong. I was a sports writer for a while, but listen, I mean, there's a lot of things wrong.
Right.
With the Baseball Hall of Fame voting Hall of Fame process, and one of them is, I mean, I agree with you. One of them is limiting people to voting for 10, but I mean, there are guys. Another thing is that guys can vote for 1 if they want. So I mean, it's an interesting. But they've done some good things in recent years. They've started to kind of weed out some of the guys that maybe shouldn't be voting.
Yeah,
and
that is good.
I think that's a step in the right direction. Not that I have nothing against these guys,
people who haven't voted in a few years,
right? Or
Somebody
haven't covered baseball since 1972. Right. I mean, you probably shouldn't be voting on the Hall of Fame if you haven't covered baseball since the 70s, right?
Right.
So I mean, it's it's an imperfect system, and there are many of them.
I mean, and it's really, and it's out in my mind, it's outdated in the sense that, like, when the voting started, the best qualified people to do the voting were the sports writers of America. But now, with the internet, with all the coverage of baseball, with everybody that has access to all kinds of films and footage of players, maybe include other facets of the baseball world as eligible to be voters.
I think they have to do that eventually. I don't know why they're holding out with. I mean, obviously they've had a long relationship, the BBWA and the Hall of Fame. So I mean, it's always hard to create change. But I think there's no way in 10 years we're still talking about people that cover baseball in a very meaningful way being left out off the bat of voting. I don't think that's something they can hold off too much longer.
Right.
I mean, they have to make
Hopefully not.
They have to make some adjustments at some point, because you can't be a 2020 Baseball Hall of Fame with 1960 rules. You just,
Right.
I mean, you have to evolve.
Right.
Everybody does, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
Right. I mean, and part of it is that the baseball writers, a lot of them are older and they don't buy into the new age statistics like WAR and JAWS. And
Well, like I said, I think they've started to address that a little bit, because some of the older voters who don't buy into that, and besides, I don't want a guy on the ballot who's only looking at WAR JAWS. To be honest,
no.
I don't want that. I want them to include it, certainly. But and I think a lot of the people that just got on the voting process or just got their BBWA Hall of Fame card, if you will, they are looking at everything. They're not just looking at WAR or JAWS.
right. I mean, the younger guys, obviously, that's something that.
But the problem with the younger guys is it's hard for them to have perspective on how greats like Dwight Evans were.
Right.
Because that was a totally different era, pre-steroid. So Dwight Evans came on the ballot, the Hall of Fame ballot, just as steroids were taking over baseball. So he had the unfortunate circumstances of being judged really against really enormous home run numbers in the mid to late 90s. And his career looks a little maybe more pedestrian, if you will,
Right.
to the voters then. But in fact, it was not. And he, like I said, he also didn't just have the production; he had the length, and he had the dominant era. 10 years of being the single best home run RBI producer in baseball. See, that's what I'm saying. And then you tack on, oh, by the way, 8 Gold Gloves.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, how is he not in the Hall of Fame?
Right. And he avoided injury a lot.
He did. He was a very durable player. Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the...
He was beamed twice in the 80s, or in the 70s, early in his career, where he missed a chunk of time in both, I think it was 78 and 74, maybe. Right. And that actually affected his batting statistics for a good 8 years.
Right.
And then, Peter Gammons did a wonderful piece on him about the day he was taking batting practice with Kyle Yastrzemski, of all people, and kind of figured out his balance again. It's a great piece. If you read The Athletic, you should go to and read that piece Gammons wrote about Evans. It's fantastic, about him finding balance, and from how that point forward, his career just took off, statistically batting.
Right.
So, interesting.
Mm-hmm. All right, so there you go.
That's it. I had my piece. See? Thank you.
All right.
You're going to give everyone your little card?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to put the card up because, here's my contact information. If you want to leave a comment below, do you think Dwight Evans belongs in the Hall of Fame? Let us know. You can also contact me at Twitter and on Instagram and in my email down there below. But we would love to hear what everybody out there, baseball fans, especially baseball fans from our era, from our age group, think. Whether
any baseball fan is fine.
Well,
even if you're 8.
Anyone.
Chime in.
Even 8?
Yeah.
All right.
If you've heard of Dwight Evans, chime in.
If you've heard of him.
Feel free to make a comment.
Right. So let us know what you think. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. And then hit the bell so that you know when I have videos up. You never know, I might have another expert on, like Kris Dufour here.
Yeah, loose definition of the word. All right. I appreciate it.
And then, and we can have conversations like this a lot. And then I can get this material out to people and share my video. If there's anybody you think might be interested, Red Sox fans that share the video with them, and if you know
Dwight Evans, share with him.
Let's get this circular. Yes, if you're
and if you happen to know anybody who's voting on December 8th, share it with them, please. Definitely. Come on, Modern Era Committee,
right?
Please.
So
listen.
So anyway, that is going to be it for us.
Thank goodness.
I am signing off. Sportsman Z, Bob Zolke. Until next time.